It was a quiet evening in Borrego Park. Blaze and his new friend Sam were meeting up to hang out before heading back to college after winter break. But the thing was, none of Sam's other friends really knew who this Sam guy was. Sam described Blaze as a friend, but Blaze had never mentioned his name before. Worse yet, Blaze hadn't even mentioned wanting to meet up with anyone that night. So what was really going on? Well, when Blaze's parents woke up the next day to find him missing, they were worried. And soon enough, they learned that this quiet night in the park would be Blaze's last. Welcome to True Crime Stories. If you're new here, I'm your host, Ty Knotts, and I post new true crime documentaries every single week. So if you love classic true crime without a bunch of AI junk, you've come to the right place. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all my future videos. It's completely free. Blaze Bernstein was born in Orange County, California, to parents Gene and Gideon. He had two brothers, Jay and Bo. Blaze was known for being a quirky, all smiles, always happy, and passionate about a lot of things kind of guy. More than anything, though, he loved music, writing, and cooking. Blaze belonged to a Jewish family, and around the time of this case, he was going through some pretty serious changes in his life. Considering he was only 19 years old, he was still learning a lot about himself. And being in your mid to late teen years, well, it's hard on just about everyone. But overall, everything was going great for him. He attended the Orange County School of the Arts, and after that, he enrolled in the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Even though Blaze was in love with food and creative writing, he wanted to pursue a degree in medicine, which was exactly what he chose. He was a super smart guy, and everyone in his family believed that medicine would be an amazing career for him. Blaze was in his sophomore year at the time of the case, and by all accounts, he was living his best life, doing the things he loved beside the people he loved. It was the summer of 2017 when this case really began to unfold. It was winter break, and the holidays were coming up, so Blaze was headed home from Philly to California to see his family. He caught up on family updates, spent a lot of time in the kitchen whipping up food for his friends and family, and he was having a great time. Blaze was incredibly excited about spending a week or so with his family before heading back to school, and it was a picture-perfect holiday. Everyone from Blaze's immediate family was there to share stories and laughs, but before Blaze knew it, it was time to head back to school and begin the next semester. The day Blaze left his parents' home to head back to the daily grind was January 2nd, 2018, just a day after ringing in the new year. But for Blaze, this day would hold particular importance because it was the last day he was seen alive. Blaze's parents didn't immediately realize that their son was even missing. He was at home in a place where he grew up, and they noticed that he'd left their house and seemed to have been gone for quite some time. But his parents didn't seem too worried. Maybe he was just out meeting some old friends. But the next morning, Jean was at a dentist's appointment, and that was when she was hit with a very uncomfortable and nagging thought. Blaze hadn't reached out since last night. In fact, Blaze promised to join his mom at that appointment, but he didn't show up. This wasn't normal for Blaze at all. He wouldn't just bail on his parents. If he was busy, then he would have called to let them know so that they wouldn't wait on him. Gideon and Jean constantly called Blaze, but there was no answer. The two immediately got home and went to his room, and he wasn't there either. But his belongings were, including his wallet, retainer, and glasses. Gene knew that if Blaze went anywhere, he would always put his retainers in and take his wallet with him. So all this was in the house, but where was Blaine? His friends were called, but no one had heard from him. It was like he had disappeared in the dark of night, leaving his family worried to the core. The Bernstein family soon called the police and reported 19-year-old Blaze missing, while family and friends tried to find any clues, answers, and information about Blaze. So they did what came to their mind. They logged into Blaze's computer, and they were somehow able to access Blaze's Snapchat. Nothing was unusual, save for one thing, and this would be the only lead in the case. Blaze had sent a message to someone. It was a young man named Sam, and Blaze had sent him his home address. Now, this name was not familiar to the Bernstein family. They didn't know this mysterious guy named Sam, but it seemed like he was the last person to be with Blaze, or at the least, he may have known something about him. So Blaze's parents wasted no time and contacted Sam Woodward. They also recorded the conversation and handed it over to investigators later on. Gideon was the one who talked to Sam, who said that he picked Blaze up from his house at 11 p.m. on the night of January 2nd, and the two drove to Borrego Park in Lake Forest. There, Blaze got out of the car and told Sam that he was going to meet another friend and proceeded to walk down a dimly lit path and then disappeared. Sam tried calling after Blaze, but he didn't see or hear anything. Blaze, out of nowhere, just left Sam in the park. Now, this was really bizarre. Something about Sam's story was not sitting right with the Bernstein family. It also didn't help that they didn't know who Sam was, so they asked him how he knew Blaze, to which Sam answered that the two were friends in Orange County School of Arts. So the detectives decided to talk to old friends and classmates of Blaze's, and the search for answers led them to Rhea, Blaze's best friend of many years. Rhea, Blaze, and Sam were all classmates at the Orange County School of Arts, and contrary to Sam's version of events, the investigators found out from Rhea that Sam and Blaze weren't exactly friends. Rhea explained that Sam was an outcast of the classroom. He was quiet, alone, dismissive, and, quote, crazy. He and Blaze were worlds apart. Blaze was warm, happy, and friendly with everyone, and Sam couldn't have been more different. Rhea and other classmates remembered Sam being really weird. He was fond of drawing, but his drawings weren't cartoon characters or squiggly lines. Sam drew firearms all over his notebook pages. He was super conservative, and many people rejected his opinions on race and equality, but the point is, he was the odd man out. Everyone who knew Blaze and Sam were certain that the two couldn't be friends. They barely interacted in OCSA, and their mutual friends didn't even know each other. So why did Sam meet up with Blaze? And why was it so out of the blue? When you combine this with Sam's odd story about Blaze going with him to the park, then just wandering off without warning, well, things were getting stranger very quickly. Even though Sam at this point hadn't seemingly done anything wrong, police were highly suspicious of him. And with that, Sam was listed as the prime suspect in Blaze's disappearance. 3 days into Blaze's inexplicable disappearance, the search was on. The police were searching all the wooded areas, remote places, and neighboring areas of the park where Blaze was last seen. Drones were flying over the thick tree-covered areas, and missing person posters being printed by the thousands and stuck everywhere. The community came together in search for Blaze, and to support the worried and fearful Bernstein family in this very challenging time. The investigators also talked to Sam, and he maintained that he didn't know what happened to Blaze after he vanished. He basically repeated the same story he told Blaze's parents. The detectives conducted searches in the pouring rain, and they were laser focused on one particular area in Borrego Park. Now, it was raining, but the visibility was as clear as it could be. But the investigators couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to find something. And they did 8 long days later. On January 10th, 2018, a police officer noticed something under a tree in Borrego Park. It was a large tree branch that looked seemingly normal, but under it was disturbed, dug up dirt. The investigators dug and dug, and not even a few feet in, they found a human body, deceased, cold, and covered in slash wounds. It was 19-year-old Blaze Bernstein, only this time he was not sporting his signature smile and squinted eyes. His face and body were cold, expressionless, and lifeless. Blaze was found deceased in a shallow grave in the same park where he was last seen with his friend. Right by his body was a broken cell phone, and it belonged to Blaze too. The police, the community, and Blaze's parents were shocked and in disbelief. They were praying and hoping for Blaze's safe return, but unfortunately that day would never come. An autopsy was conducted, and the results were absolutely gut-wrenching. Blaze was attacked with a knife almost 28 times. The coroner, even just looking at Blaze's injuries and the number of times he'd been slashed, knew that the attack was fueled by hatred and anger. This begged the question, what did 19-year-old Blaze do to be attacked so viciously? Well, the detectives knew where to find all of these answers, and it was from Sam Woodward. Sam was arrested 2 days after Blaze's body was found in Borrego Park, and as they questioned and looked into Sam, they found even more disturbing details about him. 20-year-old Samuel Woodward, better known as Sam, was from Newport Beach, California. He enrolled in the Orange County School of Arts, but he had to be pulled out since he was extremely aggressive towards certain young men at the school. Specifically, the guy was super homophobic and very open about it. Well, while Sam was in custody and not saying anything about what happened at Borrego Park, the investigators had no choice but to do some digging for themselves. The police opened up Sam's life and turned it inside out, and what they found truly sent chills down their spines. Sam had a very dark secret, and the investigators firmly believed that this secret had everything to do with what he did to Blaze. Sam was actually a member of a cult. He was part of a far-right extremist group that promoted hate speech, violence, and aggression towards anyone they didn't agree with. The cult was formed in 2013, and it was based in the southern United States before spreading its menacing claws like a disease over to the UK, then to Canada, Germany, and even some parts of Europe. The cult was described as one of the most violent movements of the 21st century. This group basically wants to take over the world, annihilate everyone and everything, and start something new. It's a new world order sort of thing, and they want everyone on the planet to believe in their twisted, hateful ways. Their main targets are Jewish people, as well as members of the LGBT community. The detectives found out that since Sam was an outcast, his only outlet of expression was the internet, and that was when he stumbled across the cult. And there he found like-minded people who were just as evil and cynical as he was. I know everyone has to find their people or their tribe or whatever, but Sam took this to another level. Sam attended these events called hate camps, in which members of the cult are essentially trained to become violent and aggressive, and are basically mentored by people to become peace disruptors. To the cult, whenever someone attacked or took the life of a person or a minority, different ethnicity, or even sexuality, it was a good day to be alive. And devastatingly, when Sam's fellow members found out that he took Blaze's life, they celebrated it like Christmas. This is because Blaze had recently come out as gay, and he was also an active member of the Jewish community, so in essence, he was a perfect target. Once police learned these things about Blaze, they knew Sam was responsible. But here's the kicker, a plot twist, if you will. When investigators went through Sam's phone and belongings, they found something that truly took them by surprise. Sam was struggling with his own sexuality too. The investigators found evidence of Sam visiting gay dating websites and even watching heaps of gay adult content. This was the same content that cult was repulsed by. Investigators also found messages between Sam and Blaze, and Sam's tone was very flirtatious. This added another new layer to Blaze's case. It seemed that Sam was not very accepting of his own sexuality, and Blaze being so open, honest, and living his best life while being someone who finds men attractive could be the root of jealousy and resentment in Sam's mind. Sam couldn't be openly gay because he was in this cult. He would literally get killed by the group if he was found out to find men attractive. The police believed that Sam tried very hard to suppress his desires and sexuality, but seeing the stark contrast of Blaze's life made him feel miserable and angry. The only thing about this whole situation that doesn't make any sense to me is, if Sam was really gay all along, why did he join the cult in the first place? An easy argument to be made is, oh, he just wanted somewhere he could fit in. But Sam didn't fit in, not even a little bit. The only thing he had in common with these people was that he was an angry, bitter man. Now, I can imagine coming face to face with your own sexuality. It's terrifying. But nothing about this makes any sense. It seemed like Sam had dug his own grave by joining the cult and suppressing his sexuality, and all of that pent-up aggression, frustration, and rage finally came out, and Blaze was forced to pay for it. An innocent bystander who wouldn't hurt a fly. Sam was eventually charged with murder, use of a deadly weapon, and 2 charges of hate crimes. He pleaded not guilty to all of the charges, even though DNA evidence in Sam's car and home showed that he was the one who ended Blaze's life. Sam's car, as well as the knife used on Blaze, which was found in Sam's home, also had Blaze's DNA all over it. The main challenge for the prosecution was not to prove whether Sam murdered Blaze or not, he most definitely did. It was to prove whether it was a hate crime or not. The motive was pertinent in this trial. Sam's defense went for voluntary manslaughter charges, which, if all worked out, would see Sam eventually paroled. The prosecution, on the other hand, was adamant that the crime was cold, calculated, deliberate, and fueled by hatred, and they were looking at a life in prison sentence with no parole. Well, the road to justice was going to be long, because during all of this, COVID-19 happened, and the trial was postponed time and time again. The Bernstein family was exhausted by the constant back and forth, and they just wanted justice to be served. They didn't want to wait and live in the grief and hurt of what had happened to their son. They wanted the murderer to be punished and for this nightmare to end. But by the time Sam was taken to trial, it was April of 2024. The Bernstein family had to spend 6 long, grueling years to finally take their son's case to trial and punish the wrongdoer. Well, 6 years after the murder of Blaze, a lot of things have changed. And I'm not just talking about the new restrictions and the new normal. Sam looked completely different. His hair was super long and messy all the way down to his shoulders, his nails were overgrown, and he was very quiet and reserved. Some people thought that Sam looked eerily similar to Charles Manson, who was also a narrow-minded murderer and an overall waste of space. But his reign of terror, that's for another day. But I will say this. Charles Manson was actually idolized by Sam's cult, and that alone says a lot. But soon, the trial started, and the prosecution presented all the evidence against Sam. His being in the cult, his closeted sexuality, his conflicting attraction to Blaze, and him being the last person to see Blaze alive. The prosecution's argument was based on the fact that Sam knew that he liked men too, but seeing how homosexuality was viewed and how the cult influenced him in all the wrong ways, left Sam feeling angry towards Blaze, who was not only Jewish but also openly gay. He couldn't bear to see Blaze living his life happily and not being judged by others, and this led Sam to end his life in cold blood. He had the murder weapon on him, and Sam planned everything beforehand when he lured Blaze in on the night of January 2nd. Now, the defense argued that Sam was just a misunderstood young man who had mental health issues and no real social skills. But things really took a turn when the defense brought up a pretty surprising argument. They claimed that what had happened to Blaze had brought on himself. Let me explain. Basically, the defense claimed that on the night of Blaze's murder, Sam was smoking illegal goods. Sam felt very out of it and everything was hazy, but he distinctly remembered Blaze pulling out his phone and recording Sam and trying to cop a feel. Sam was flustered and disgusted at Blaze's actions. See, Sam was raised as a conservative Catholic, so while he knew that he was attracted to men, he didn't want anyone else to find out. And Blaze recording this whole thing, well, that simply couldn't happen. I guess being in a violent, people-hating, and murderous cult was acceptable for Sam, but coming to terms with his sexuality wasn't. Common sense has left the chat, but back at the car, Sam explained that Blaze apparently threatened to expose Sam and his sexuality with a compromising picture or video, whatever it was. And that was when Sam was trapped in a corner. He saw no way out, and he pulled out a retractable pocket knife, which he always kept on him since he was a Boy Scout. And he didn't stop attacking Blaze until Blaze stopped struggling. It was such an appalling moment for Blaze's family. To hear that their son was now getting blamed for what happened to him, and that somehow he was at fault, it left everyone's jaws on the floor. To be fair, no compromising photo of Sam was ever found on Blaze's phone, so we can safely say that Sam was likely making all of this up. He was lying to save his own skin. He would do anything but admit that he liked men and had conflicting feelings about who he was attracted to. But by July of 2024, everyone was waiting for the verdict. Was Sam guilty of a vicious hate crime, or was he going to get away with a manslaughter charge? Well, after the jury deliberated, the verdict was out. Sam Woodward was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Blaze Bernstein as a hate crime. 4 months later, in November of 2024, Sam was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. The trial of Sam Woodward was not just a murder trial. It was the beginning of a new revolution against hate crimes for victims in the same shoes as Blaze. Blaze's parents, Gideon and Jean, decided to put all of their pain and suffering into a greater cause, and they founded Blaze It Forward, a kindness movement, which is a safe space for people of all sexualities and for spreading positivity. Borrego Park, the haunting place where Blaze's life was put to an end, has also now become a memorial of sorts. Hundreds upon hundreds of colorful stones with heartwarming and comforting words for Blaze and his family decorate the area where Blaze's body was found. The Bernstein family is so grateful for the support that they got from practical strangers during these long and hurtful years. And they're at peace that Blaze is remembered exactly the way he's supposed to be, for his warmth and for his smile. His life may have been cut short, but his parents have ensured that his impact and his love will continue to live on long after he's gone, in color, brightness, and warmth. The Bernstein family believes that no one should be punished or judged for who they love. Moving on seems very easy, and sometimes Blaze's parents can get by with his memories, but there's still a long way to heal for him. I feel like it's obvious that just because you disagree with someone, it doesn't give you the right to resort to murder. Having disagreements about lifestyles, values, whatever it may be, that's part of life. This sort of conflict has quite literally been around since the dawn of man. Thousands of years, people have been arguing about what lifestyle is the best. But the truth is, the best lifestyle is one of mutual respect. I don't have to agree with what you're doing, what you're saying, or how you're living. It's your life, it's not mine. Now, I should have every right to make my opinions known, and you yours. But neither opinion has the weight or the right to overrule how someone else wants to live their life. We're all put here to live our lives and make choices. And whether someone else's choices are right or good, that's not up to us. All we can do is focus on our own thoughts, our own actions, and where we want to be at the end of it all. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of True Crime Stories. I wanted to give a special thank you to a couple channel members, including Heather Montague and Jennifer Huckleby. If you also want to become a member of the channel, you'll gain access to new videos sometimes days or weeks before they're uploaded to the public, and it is a great way to support the channel and help out. And I appreciate all of you guys that have decided to do that. If you want to join, you can click that big join button below the video, or find the link down in the description. And don't forget, True Crime Stories t-shirts are also now available. You can grab one of those from a link down in the description as well. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, check out this other interesting case I covered, and don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and just keeps you up to date with all my future videos. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.